And now we all ready because we read the error as a message.
Right.
What's this? What part does the Galactic Council play in
Our liberation?
If we don't do our part, they ain't gonna play no part.
Get back, get back, get back.
Right? But if we do our part, they're gonna make sure that it's enforced from a galactic perspective.
Right. How bad, famo? This we let the cat out the back door. This man and caught a rat and broke his neck. I gotta take him out. This little guy gone.
The cat caught a rat.
Hey. That must be some type of sign, huh?
Hey, yeah, definitely a sign. What color is your cat?
Black.
Okay.
Yeah, he gone. You had him outside? Yeah, she was in here panicking, that's why.
Well, you know, women don't really care for them rodents too much.
Right.
Unless they grow up playing with them as part of their, you know, their culture.
Mm-hmm. Let me go ahead and wash these hands real quick. Right. Somebody. Now I'm gonna be thinking about that shit all night. Cause the other day, my bad, maybe you can't hear, because the other day I got another sign from Spirit. Like Hawks is one of my totems. And I see him everywhere I go. And the other day I'm driving down the road and a hawk swooped in front of the car with a rabbit. He didn't caught a rabbit. And he, like, Rob, when I tell you I had to brake because I was about to hit the hawk and the rabbit, like dead ass I had to brake. And I'm like, okay. That's God telling me it's time to strike. It's time to do what I'm supposed to be doing. But man, these little messages be coming now. As soon as you tap in, it's like they come nonstop.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. Everything is a message, but we don't read everything as a message.
Mm-hmm. That's real. Ain't no coincidences. I see it in everything now to the point where I be feeling like paranoid. I be like, come on now, you can't think of everything. Got to be symbolism.
Well, stop telling yourself that, because that's where the paranoia comes from. If you go back to Elijah Muhammad said there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of signs. This shit is about to be a wrap. Elijah Muhammad said that back in the 60s. Right? So how many more signs has been given to us since then? So it's a lot of signs that we haven't been reading. We just been letting them go past, trying to fit into the society that was designed to oppress us.
Yep, put a cage on my mind, basically. Because once I remove that prison of a thought process, then I'm able to really tap in and allow that to become a part of my intuition. But sometimes, you know, like I said, because I'm like, damn, that can't be a sign. Because like literally, it's like all day numbers. On top of that, it's like numbers to the point where I don't even look up the meaning of numbers anymore because I know them all by heart.
So that's when you start using numerology and gematria in real time, and that even fines tune the message. So the message becomes easier to assimilate when you understand what numbers mean. Because this is why you wear a watch. This is why you're supposed to wear a watch. We got cameras on our phone. Clocks on our phone now, because the every second of the day is a new set of numbers. Think about that. Every second of the day is a new set of numbers. And those same numbers several times a day are anagrams of one another. Those are what you call connection points. Right? So 24 hours in a day, but 12 months in a year. Right? So they say one day to the year. That means it took a whole year for it to happen. So in 12 and 24 is 36, and 3 and 6 is 9, and that's the turnaround.
Right. And 12 is 3. 24 is 6. And you add them together, then you get 9.
Yep. Because it got to be able to work frontwards and backwards in order for it to fit into an accurate read. Right? So the 369 is a code. It's a universal code for turning something around, or when you get to what we call 3-point convergence, that's GPS. So you need 3 points of convergence in order to get past the 2-point coincidence factor. Anything more than 2 is no longer coincidence. That means that, pay attention, this is a real sign. Right? That's how GPS need 3 points of convergence to get you to your location.
What do they call it?
Triangulation.
Triangulation. There it is. Yep.
So that's why when you see, like when I watch a tarot card reader, I can read more into the cards than she reading, because I'm starting with how long did it take her to do this read? What do those numbers mean? Okay. Now, what's the title of the spread? Right? Because that's the theme. That's the mission statement. Right? So the mission, under the mission statements, is the details of the mission. Right? We call it the question and answer, or the query and the response. The universe is telling us something. We use an oracle means to focus the energy in, like lights going through a magnifying glass, until we can explain clearly what it is that we see. The more things that we know the meaning of, the more accurate we can get an oracle read. That's what this question right here, the answer to that is, that was before the end of the contract. If you do it now, you are resurrecting the dead contract. You revisiting the contract that is no longer enforceable, trying to compel them to enforce it upon you as rules and restrictions on you.
Go ahead and re-register yourself. That makes sense.
That's why they got us filling out paperwork with so much shit. We don't even know what all that paperwork is necessary for, because they drown us with an overburden of what we call gibberish, jargon, a bunch of talk. It's rhetoric. So if you go back to Rome, they used to teach rhetoric as a viable classroom operation. And so when you understand what the rhetoric is there to undermine your ability to see the problem clear enough to no longer be under the Unum Sanctum declaration of the Pope. The Uniform Commercial Code was the document that the parameters of the contract fell under in the international maritime jurisdiction. It used to be called the Ancient Code of Kings. It's been updated to called Uniform Commercial Code as the law of the high seas and admiralty and jurisdiction. Right? And so all nations are codified under Uniform Commercial Code. And the only thing that the Uniform Commercial Code can codify is a legal fiction. Right? And the legal fiction, if you are a member of the legal fiction, you have to be a straw man in order to be a part of it.
To even play in any of these, you gotta be dead.
Right. Now, in order to bring back the living system is based upon husia, authoritative utterance and exceptional insight. The hua is the authoritative utterance, the voice, the ability to speak a thing into existence. You speak it into existence by being in a position of right and telling the truth, and it has to happen. Because Big Mama said so. What's the part about the single mothers not wanting what?
Oh, dang. Single mothers not wanting to get off of, you see that part. That was a whole different question, by the way, but he was saying what single mothers not wanting to get off child support food stamps, so on and so forth. He said he wants you
When
to
we
talk about what's the reasoning behind that.
look, that's because they don't know no better. But when we get our shit back, ain't nobody gonna be on child support. The child gonna be with the parent if the parent's not together that is most capable of meeting the necessary needs of the mental, emotional, physical, and economic development of the child. In other words, the parent that can be the greatest benefit to the child is the parent that the child will be put with. And this will be done by the evaluation of the family members, the women in the family as the mothers and the men in the family as the fathers. So if you're a piece of shit father, the men in your family gonna whoop your ass and you ain't gonna be able to see your son.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a good father, the women gonna back you up, and then the men gonna back you up because the women back you. Most loved, most respected in the scenario, right? The most respectable parent with the strongest moral compass under matriarchy is the parent responsible for the children. Now, here's the part that a lot of the brothers ain't gonna like. If your child have a sibling that's older or younger than your child, and when you do stuff for your child, you do something for the other children so that the other children doesn't establish a mutiny in the family to your child. So a guy was going over a video yesterday. This guy brought McDonald's only for his child, and the girl got 4 other kids.
I saw that shit.
Now look, this is serious because he's fundamentally right. But if he was really understanding child psychological development, he was doing his child more harm than good by leaving his siblings out. Because when he get McDonald's, how do they feel watching their brother with McDonald's and they don't have anything to eat yet? Because they deadbeat ass dad ain't coming around. It's about your child psychological development. Any one of my children that got a sibling, that's my child too. Because I can't go pick up and hug my daughter and she's 5 and she's got a 4 or 3-year-old sister that I'm like, that's not my child.
That's wild.
Because when she get older, she's going to resent my child for the relationship that my child have with me that she don't have with her father. So it's a better healing salve to the community to meet the psychological need of any child that you approach, whether yours or not. Then that's why I say take a village to raise a child. That shit's serious. You don't want to breed seeds of dissent in the sibling relationship. Because you're not responsible for the other children doesn't mean it's not negatively affecting your child. When you do something for your child and totally neglect the other children, right? If you want to take your child out to eat and you can't afford to feed the rest of the children, you're supposed to get that time with your child where it's you and them and you don't have nobody else with you. Right? And then you can give them whatever you want them to have. And then when you take them back, send him home with little bags of candy bars for his siblings or something simple so that when your child seeing you brings the same amount of joy to his siblings that he coming to see you, right, as it does to your child. I'm going to see my daddy. Oh, every time you go see your daddy, he send us something back.
Right.
We love your daddy. I wish my daddy wasn't a bum. Kids talk like that.
They do.
You know? But those relationships that as a child, it seems so innocent that this is my child, I'm taking care of my child. It seems so innocent when he's doing his part for his child and leaving the other children out. But it's doing more damage to his child than he can possibly see. Because if you got the only kid in the house with new shit on, the rest of the kids bummy, dirty because their daddy ain't around and their mama can't afford to buy them nothing. Right?
Right.
What you think they gonna do to your child? They gonna call him bougie, say he uppity, and he think he better than everybody else, and then they gonna treat him like shit. So I feel like if I go, if it's my son and his brother is at home and I'm going to take my son shopping and I'm not bringing him to my house, I'm going to get something for his brother, even if it's one thing. He's going to get something. But it's not because I'm kissing the lady ass or I'm kissing her other child's ass. It's that my son's relationship with his sibling is more important to me than my money.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
Nah, yeah, I was gonna say that's the first time I've heard somebody come from that perspective, and it opens my eyes, because the reason why I laughed when you brought it up is like she was clearly she was clearly in the wrong, because he was saying like, look, I'll take my son out to the car. He ain't got to eat in front of everybody. I get it. I get her standpoint of like, don't feed him in front of everybody else and not, bring them food. But she wouldn't even let him come out to the car. So I was like, yeah, she really in the wrong. Your perspective there.
It's fundamentally she's wrong. But when it comes to the welfare of the collective children, she's right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That man only laid up with her for one baby. He didn't lay with her for all of them. But the goodness in his heart, if he understands his child and what's best for his child, he's going to do it anyway. Now, he might start off like that. And then it's going to be something creep up inside him saying, now, you can't do that shit. Without her saying nothing.
Mm.
It's going to come up. Unless he don't have a conscience. And then if he don't got a conscience, it's not going to matter anyway what she say.
Right.
Because everybody don't got a conscience.
Not at all. I'm gonna take like 3-4 more questions.
So what happened to the Georgia Guidestones? From the view that it looked like to me, it got hit with an energy pulse weapon. Now, the reason I say that is because when the explosion went off, it wasn't a fire combustion. Right? It's supposed to have been a small mushroom cloud if it was a fuel-based explosive, which common explosives is gunpowder, nitroglycerin, and fertilizer fuel. It was none of those used because it would have left a fireball when it blew up. There was no fire. No fireball came from the explosion, which tells me whatever it was more like a accelerator, an energy accelerator weapon, than it was a fiery explosive weapon.
Mm.
So being that it's an energy weapon, it's two places that the weaponry can come from. The U.S. military has energy weapons that they confiscated from extraterrestrial crafts that's crashed. They know how to use them. And the Galactic Council has energy weapons that if the system isn't moving according to how it's supposed to, they can use those energy weapons to fuck all kind of shit up. They cut off HARP in 2018. HARP was shut down by Donald Trump.
Mm.
So this is how, and then Joe Biden's administration never put HARP back online because they got too many other issues.
So HARP has been down the last 3 years. There hasn't been any weather manipulation.
If it is, it's coming from the Galactic Council and not from the Earth.
Mm. I mean, maybe outside of the chemtrails, because I still be seeing them.
Well, some of that is cleanup now.
Mm.
They got to clean this shit up before they give it back to us from a lot of shit. Poisoning the people and all that shit. They got to clean that shit up. GMOs, hormone-laced feed that turn little girls into puberty at 8 and 7 years old and shit. All that shit got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the beef is the worst food stock. You're not supposed to use beef for food stock.
Mm.
You're supposed to use bison, elk, shit like that. You're not supposed to use domestic cattle. Domestic cows is used for what you call the byproduct. The milk, the cheese, the cottage cheese, right? Then you use the urine for different stuff. You use, when they die, you use a pelt to make leathers and stuff, but it's not for human consumption because it's saturated fat.
Mm.
Right? Bison don't have saturated fat. When you go back and look at one of their plans to destroy us was to kill off all of the bison.
Mm-hmm.
And then they replaced them with bovine beef. That's not native to the land.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this ain't concrete, but what I believe is that all of the cows in America are going to be rounded up and shipped back to India where they belong, where they sacred animals at.
They are shutting down a lot of cow farms.
Yep. That's because they was filling them up with all types of hormones that disrupt the development of our kids, our children.
That's a good one. It
The
says, can you
alpha and the
ask Rod
what?
to explain the alpha and omega? That's it.
Alpha is the beginning. Omega is the end. And is the little omega, which comes from the aim, which is the alpha in the omega, right? So the saying or the quote is, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. At the close of every cycle, we have to restore it back or reset back to original. When you reset back to original, you go from omega back to alpha, but it's in reverse. It's from alpha to omega, but it's really from omega to alpha, from the end to the beginning, because we already went from alpha to omega. Right.
Going back.
Yeah. So you got to look back to see forward. It's just the code to say that everything has to be reset in the end like it was in the beginning. For the most part, we just getting critical awareness to the collective, but for the most part, except for the low-level minions, right? For the most part, they gone. All of the big wigs, most of the Enlil family then turned tail and left.
That's why all them CEOs was resigning.
Yep. But that ain't the only ones resigning. A lot of people don't know about senators and congressmen all over the country is stepping down because they're saying there's not going to be no more elections. The only way there's no more elections is if we return back to selections, natural selections specifically. Most loved, most respected is the rule. The one most qualified for the position has to take the lead until he's no longer qualified, and then the qualified person will step up and take it from there. That's the structure.
That's smooth. So that's how chiefs, I can't say ordained, but that's how chiefs came to power back in the day is through
so let's talk about chiefs for a minute, because somebody asked a question earlier and I didn't really answer it. You don't become a chief just because you said you're the chief. You got to be the head of a family, and you got to have the honor, the love and respect of other chiefs, right? The more chiefs you influence, the higher your rank becomes. We talk about, and all chiefs aren't men. This is the hard part for a lot of people to understand, because the patriarchs told us that the chiefs was only men. But it was probably more women chiefs than there were men chiefs. So they become family administrators, appointing people to positions in the family that they can be most useful to the family. And as is following that same rule, the one who knows takes the lead in that area. Right? So let's say, for instance, in our family, we had dog fighters. I would take the lead because I know more about dogs than anybody in my family. Right? And let's say we got another part of the family that bend metal. I'm not taking the lead because I'm not a smith. Right? All of the smiths worked with metals, smelters. You got goldsmiths, blacksmiths. It's all telling you the metals and the materials they work with. Right? You got jewel smiths. They were the ones who cut the diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. We didn't hold in high esteem crowns of gold. We held nature's adornment in higher esteem than the fabrication of the hands of man. This is why we wore feathers. Because the beauty in some of the feathers, like we don't have as many exotic giant birds as we used to have, that we used to collect the feathers from because they killed them all. Just so we wouldn't have them to make elaborate headdresses. Right?
Right.
So we believed in the turquoise stone's power and the crystal's power, and they believed in adorning their gold crowns with diamonds and shit, sapphires and rubies. They all got alchemical properties, but they was doing it for the cosmetic allure. So when they came over here, our opulence was simple to them, right? Because they seen us in deer skins and bison skins with moccasins on and feathered headdress. Our culture holds nature in a higher esteem than the invader. The invader holds in highest esteem the things that man can fabricate with his hands. And that's the major difference in how you can tell them from us. Because the simple things we have gratitude for. But if you don't give them big gifts, they have no gratitude. We can trade fruit basket for a basket of scented pine cones and be just as content. They don't want that shit. That's trash to them. If there's no gold and jewelry involved, you're a peasant to them. Right? So they look down on us, but we looked up to Big Mama. We didn't look up to men.
What
right?
Kanye say? They made us hate ourselves and love they wealth.
Yep. Messages in the music.
Damn, that's wild.
It's possible